Tamborine Oxenford Road we're on now, and this will take us to the top of Mount Tamborine. I haven't been up to Mount Tamborine for a long time, mainly because the goat track is shut, and the goat track, the heavy rain we had over the Christmas New Year period caused large rock slides on the goat track, and you can't get from Mount Tamborine down to Canungra. This little bridge here was probably built about 5 or 10 years ago. It's just there, behind that gate. And Casey Stoner used to live there when he was a very young boy. I think he was about 5 or 6. With his mum and dad and his sister. They lived in that house. And I know that for a fact because his sister went to the same school as my daughter. And they were friends, and I remember taking my daughter to that house for play days with Casey Stoner's sister and talking to the mother, Bronwyn. And I just remember Casey was a tiny little fella with a crop of white hair, a shock of white hair, and he was a tiny little fellow, and he was about 5. And so when they built that new bridge, those several new bridges, they asked people to nominate or provide a recommendation for a name for the bridge. And my wife and I sent in a submission to the Gold Coast City Council to call it the Casey Stoner Bridge. I mean, he was 2-time MotoGP World Champion, Young Australian of the Year. And the council wrote back and said, thanks, but no thanks, we're just going to call it whatever the name of the creek is. Can't remember now. Which no one knows, no one cares. I think it's disgraceful. Here we had an Australian sporting legend, world champion twice over MotoGP, Young Australian of the Year, and that was as good as we could come up with. The name of a creek. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Anyway, that's what it is. It is what it is, as Pavel would say. Motorcycle Adventures YouTuber, who I quite enjoy watching his channel. Now we're coming to a very steep climb, as the sign back there said. And there is an overtaking lane probably a couple hundred metres up. Anyway, just here on the right, up right near that yellow auction sign, there's a small high mound of dirt, and the police set up a camera and they videotape and check the speed of cars coming down and going up. And they had an absolute killing getting people speeding. Now, what's the view like here? Let's have a look. Stop. Pretty foggy and cloudy. Not crystal clear view of the Gold Coast. Anyway, I suppose if you speed and you get caught, you do the crime, you do the time, you pay the fine. I can remember being on my bike, not this bike, whatever bike it was, coming up here, probably a good 10 years ago, if not 15. Had my wife in the back, and we came around a corner, came around this corner, and this left-hand corner here, and we got to about here, and there was a guy with a motorcycle helmet standing in the middle of the road, and over against the bank on the right and against that rock shale was another bike upside down, and laying beside it was another biker with his helmet on, and the biker in the middle of the road was flagging down traffic. Anyway, him and a mate had come down, cut the opposite direction, coming down the hill and around the corner, and there was a large rock, wouldn't call it a boulder, probably about the size of a soccer ball, football, in the middle of the road, and he'd come around the corner, and the sun had hit his eyes and he didn't see it, and he hit it, and it threw him completely over the handlebars into the rock wall, and the bike ended up beside him. I think he broke a leg. He was in pain. The ambulance came, took him away, poor bugger. Anyway, I guess these things can happen. So this is Eagle Heights. And it's on Mount Tamborine, I guess called a suburb of Mount Tamborine, and they have some great views of the Gold Coast at Eagle Heights. And if I was going the opposite direction, on some of these high points here, you can actually see the skyline of Brisbane on a clear day. I might turn left just here and see if we can find some of these Gold Coast views. Here we go.